What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the August 29, 2020 edition of Talking Smack, the second episode since the return last week, hosted by Caleb Braxton and The Miz. Yeah, Xavier Woods for the second straight week wasn't here, but they did announce at the very end that he will be on the show next week. Unless something changes in the gaming world and he gets busy at the last moment, he will be on the show next week, which is cool. Though I have enjoyed The Miz. The Miz can be very annoying at times to a lot of people, very obnoxious. But me personally, I've enjoyed him on the show, and he brings a different he brings a different sort of straightforwardness that we don't often get on these WWE shows. And he's entertaining. The interaction that he had on the show with Matt Riddle was just funny, and it wasn't really like anything serious. The conversations, though, that he's had on this show for the last 2 weeks with Big E, first last week and then this week, they advertised an episode of Miz TV for SmackDown on Friday. It never happened. I don't know why. Maybe I missed something. We basically got it here, and I'm honestly very glad that we got it here, because I feel like they can't have this sort of unscripted nature of promos, so to speak, on SmackDown that they do on Talking Smack. So I was very happy about that. But yeah, so I've enjoyed The Miz. Woods will be on the show next week. Maybe he's serious and straightforward as well. He's all about the fun and games and whatever, a lot like Big E, but he can also be serious when he wants to. So I'm looking forward to that next week. The biggest cliffhanger coming out of SmackDown was the Roman Reigns-Paul Heyman pairing, seemingly. That closed the show on a high note. And it was such this iconic, amazing, unbelievable moment. And I literally think I said either on my own show, WrestleRant Radio on Thursday, or on hashtag on Wednesday, I will literally eat my hat if he comes out on Friday and goes heel. Now, I won't eat my hat quite yet, because it's not 100% certain that he's going heel. Now, it looks like it, for sure, but he didn't come out and rag on the fans. Not that he needs to, but we don't really know where this is going yet, but wherever it is, I'm very excited to say, because we've been petitioning this Roman-Paul Heyman pairing now for so long that I never really thought it would happen. We haven't seen Paul Heyman since Brock lost to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 36. Just because Brock's not around doesn't mean they can't bring back Paul Heyman to do stuff like this. So I thought this was cool. I thought the whole Roman thing was cool. Roman, you would think, would be on the show to discuss the fallout from it, but he wasn't. They did have Kayla and Miz discussing the ending to SmackDown, with Miz praising Paul Heyman, saying that Paul Heyman saw him from the get-go as this unlikable person, you got to be a heel, blah, blah, blah. Heyman saw Miz for the star that he was years ago, when Miz first started out in WWE on Tough Enough and on reality TV and stuff like that. So it was cool to see Miz, show some love for Paul Heyman. They talk about the triple threat no-holds-barred match for the Universal Championship on Sunday at Payback, and yes, we do have another fucking Payback pay-per-view this Sunday. Because of everything else going on right now, we have pay-per-views, and I've just been busy in the last couple of weeks. There is no formal SmackDown review once again this week. I should be bringing it back next week. Hopefully, I know it is Labor Day weekend. We have another fucking pay-per-view next Saturday in AEW All Out. So I'm not exactly sure if I'll be able to, but I'm hoping to. So we'll see. But I am going to hope to continue to do Talking Smack reviews the same day that they come out, if not on Sunday. So just to clarify that. Miz even said about Roman Reigns, you want Roman in the center of a poster. So he makes sense to have as the face of the company, and this pairing with Paul is very intriguing, to say the least. They then bring on the Intercontinental Champion, as he would like to be called, Sami Zayn. Not a Intercontinental Champion, the Intercontinental Champion, as he felt he was never actually beaten for the belt, which is true. He had to vacate the championship due to, leaving due to quarantine reasons. They never clarified that on the show. It was just assumed. And that's probably the reason why he did indeed leave until Friday. And when we got him back on the beginning of the show, kind of got overshadowed by the Roman Reigns-Paul Heyman thing, but I thought it was really cool to see Sami Zayn back. But he's the rightful Intercontinental Champion, he says. Miz thinks that he came back because he thought Sami would be pissed, as he brought up last week. Didn't mention Sami, but he did mention this to Jeff on SmackDown, or rather on Talking Smack a week ago, that he should be defending the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. So Miz assumed, that's why you're back, because you're pissed that it wasn't represented at one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. And Sami's like, no, Miz, you're just living your own little world. I'm back because I feel like I was never really acknowledged. The same reason why I thought Roman would go heel is exactly why Sami Zayn is still a heel, is because he felt he has been forgotten about, that he hasn't been acknowledged as the Intercontinental Champion. He was just kind of forgotten about since he successfully defended that championship at WrestleMania. And after Kayla says, well, why didn't you come out and face Jeff for his open challenge? And then Sammy gives this great logic and says, well, why would I? I'm the rightful Intercontinental Champion. I have no reason to come out there and fight someone for my title. That makes no sense. He says that Hardy, upon winning that championship, should have called Sammy and just given it right back to him, which I thought was great. So I thought that was funny. They then welcome on Matt Riddle. Miz imitates Matt Riddle, which was kind of great. And Riddle says that he's wanted this upcoming match with Baron Corbin at Payback for a long time now. He acknowledged how, and he said the exact same thing when I interviewed Matt a couple of months ago back in May for Daily DDT. He had said that, Corbin pinned him at Survivor Series in that Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT multi-man match. He eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. He's been a thorn in his side since he showed up on SmackDown initially. He's wanted this match with Corbin for a while, and he's finally getting it on Sunday, which is cool. He's felt that Corbin has taken advantage of certain situations. Matt just pinned Randy Orton, which did indeed happen at Survivor Series. Corbin took advantage of him being distracted, pinned him, and that was it. Riddle was too busy fighting Edge of the Royal Rumble when Corbin came up behind him and eliminated Matt Riddle. So there's going to be this fair one-on-one, even playing field come Sunday for their one-on-one match. Miz goes... When Matt goes, oh, why didn't you? I'm very surprised that you didn't accept the King's ransom to attack me and on behalf of Baron Corbin. And Miz says, well, I didn't need to. I don't need the King's ransom money. I already have Miz TV money. Or not Miz TV money, but he says, I have Cannonball money. I have Miz and Mrs. money. I have WWE money. And then Matt Riddle goes, is Cannonball money the same thing as Wipeout money? And I just died. I thought that was great. He looked at the camera like he thought he was breaking character, or like breaking the fourth wall or whatever. And Cannonball, I've only seen very little of the show, but it looks exactly like Cannonball. Not Cannonball, I'm sorry, Wipeout from like 10 years ago, which was such a great show. It looks like it's exactly the same thing, which isn't a bad thing, but it's essentially what it is. Anyway, he talks about how anyone can be a bro, but very few get to elite stallion status. Miz isn't quite there, but he hopes to be with someday. So they then welcome on Big E for the second straight week. I'm very happy they brought back Big E after the buzz that their conversation last week got. I saw a lot of feedback about it online, which was great. And he made a great point that he actually told WWE, I don't want to be on Talking Smack again, just because I feel like we have these conversations where it's great organically, and then we hammer them into the ground, and it doesn't have the same impact anymore, which he's absolutely right about. And that's an issue that WWE has from time to time when it comes to just, beating a dead horse, or just continuing to hammer it into the ground until it doesn't really mean anything anymore. But not with this. I thought this was an equally great conversation that he and Miz had, where they weren't as hostile, they weren't kind of at each other's throats, more so Miz. They were more understanding of each other's situations, specifically Miz of Big E. And again, I saw a lot of feedback on the promo last week that Big E cut. How he was kind of referencing white privilege without actually saying that in his promo, and I'm very happy he brought that up. And he's absolutely correct. And The Miz just wasn't getting it. But maybe he didn't say that here. He didn't say that last week. But I felt like that's what he was hinting at when he was like, Miz was like, oh, I got more opportunities because I'm more talented, blah, blah, blah. And Big E's like, no, it's not the only reason. But he was trying to say that, listen, I think part of the reason why you got more opportunities initially was because of your skin color, and Kofi's black, so that might be why. Again, he didn't say that outright. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. But I did see someone say that when they were discussing that segment from Talking Smack last week on Twitter. And I completely agree. That's probably what he wanted to say. But he didn't want to get too serious about it, or call WWE out on their shit. I'm not exactly sure. But I thought that was a great point to bring up. He wanted to let that conversation, that discussion, sit as is, but they do kind of elaborate on it. Miz asks Big E very cordially, what did I do wrong? What did I say that was incorrect? Educate me as to what I got wrong. Big E said, listen, it's not my job to educate you, Miz. And then Miz goes off about his own experience, about how he had to work his way up and blah, blah, blah. And it's not about Miz's experience. He talks about, he's talking about the serious shit, about how he feels Big E should be serious in order to be a world champion. He points to Kevin Owens and how they put a fucking suit on him because they needed him to be someone. He knows what the brass wants. Whether it's right or wrong, he knows what WWE wants. And Big E brings up how, listen, we had the same conversations New Day did when we first started out about becoming more serious. And they had that for a time when they were teasing that, what people called at the time, myself included, the whole Nation of Domination thing. And I'm so glad that didn't work out, because what they did instead was just so much better. And the serious thing may not have worked out as well. He knows that's always been the formula, but he wants to be able to forge his own path the same way that New Day did. And he was flat out told that New Day wouldn't work. Miz, he praises the Miz, and he's like, listen, you're an incredible superstar, very successful superstar, but I'm going to do what's true to me, what works for me. I need to find out for myself what works and what doesn't. I need to know what's right and what's wrong by doing it myself, without you telling me I need to be serious, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I'm not saying I'm always going to be goofy. I may be serious down the road, but I'm not going to be serious, just right out of a hat for no reason, just completely out of nowhere. He just wants Miz and the rest of the audience to trust him, that he's going to do the right thing. And if he doesn't, then he'll know from experience, which he was just spot on here. He was very intense. He was very passionate, more importantly, while talking here, and I thought it was amazing. So they announced Big E and Sheamus again for Payback, which is fine, but then why do the fucking match on SmackDown last week? That's what I don't understand. Why not just save it for the pay-per-view? I'd probably be more excited had they just done it for the first time of the show and not for the second time after Big E already beat him clean. Why do it again? Sheamus is a loser. He lost to Jeff Hardy. He lost to Big E. Why would I want to see the rematch? That doesn't make any sense to me. But he does feel, Big E says, he doesn't say that he's tired of facing Sheamus. It's only been once. He doesn't want to call Sheamus a stepping stone, and that's disrespectful, he feels, but he hopes that wins like these over people like Sheamus and Miz, former world champions, will help him build his case for one day fighting for the world championship. And he confirms that Kofi and Xavier won't be there next week at Payback, but he's willing to do it on his own. Even though, Big E and Xavier were there for Kofi, they won't be there for him, physically, but they are supporting him. And he's like, listen, why do people underestimate me? I'm a former Intercontinental champion, the second ever NXT champion. Just because, I've been doing tag stuff for the longest time doesn't mean I forgot how to be a single star. And I don't have a family, I don't have to worry about that type of stuff. I've lost 15 pounds since quarantine started, so congrats to him on that. And, I don't have to worry about all these other things that people like you, Miz, do, because I think he said I don't have a wife or whatever, which is true. When he doesn't have kids and anything like that, he lives on his own. So he has more time to kind of focus on himself, but he wants to fight for social justice as well. That's another important thing that he brought up. He references the shirt that he was wearing, where I think you can get it from his Instagram show that he does, and I think the guy that he does the show with was the one who designed the shirt, and all the proceeds go to a Black Lives Matter type charity type thing, which was cool. So I'm glad he brought that up. He was able to acknowledge his show and plug that, which is great. And I'm glad he brought up the social justice thing, because it's not something WWE gets into too often, but they did here, or at least Big E did, which was cool. And that's when they confirmed Xavier Woods will be back next week on the show, replacing The Miz as Kayla Braxton's co-host. So, another great episode. I thought the Big E Miz stuff was awesome. No pun intended. Definitely check that out. The Matt Riddle stuff was fine. The Sami Zayn stuff was good. It was a very good episode. And if this is what we can expect from Talking Smack moving forward, this type of serious material, they're not going to have a Big E on every week. And The Miz is going to be gone next week. But if we can expect this type of show and not just goofy shit and actual stuff of importance and not WWE fodder, then I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the show can produce, because I thought this was really good. New episodes of Talking Smack are made available every Saturday on the WWE Network, so check them out. And thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the review, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. You can check out the description box down below for more Talking Smack reviews, and there's only one other one in there right now from last week. I haven't reviewed the old ones, but I will be breaking down the show every week moving forward. So, that's about it. This should be going up on Saturday. Tomorrow should be... What else? What else is going up tomorrow? I don't know. Oh, my R-Truth game show review from the episode that aired this past week called Extremely Jacked. And then there's also an episode of WWE Timeline going up soon. The One More Match episode, which I just reviewed, should be up in the next couple days here on the channel. So a lot to look forward to. Subscribe and hit that little bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up. Until next time, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.